is my third feature film. First one was in English called Tulu. The second one was in Kannada. After having made two films which won so-called awards, I thought that making of the third film would be easier for me. But it was not so. 2 or 3 years that I was not left with any producers or so. So I took things in my own hands and started making my own film. What would have some script, past, what would have a location, what would have 2 actors. The entire film is done with a lot amount of good work, basically. So I shot this in 2013. I tried getting a producer after that also, but I couldn't because of the theme and the subject matter and the treatment that I had, which I was not really good for. This is a sort of experiment. It would not find a theatrical release. So therefore, I am looking at alternative options of screening. It will be this intention that I contacted Subhashri. Subhashri is India. Subhashri is a friend of mine. She is a documentary filmmaker. She is based in Delhi. She's just recently made a film on the massacres of Delhi massacres in Assam. I think visiting that. So it is with hesitation that I approached her, because this is a fiction film and Law Institute has a history of showing and making documentary films. But to my surprise, within 3 seconds of my email, she replied, "Yes, we will do it." So, yeah, it's an experiment. Let's talk after the film. Thank you.
So you shot in Bombay?
Yeah, in Bombay. In Bombay. It's just that it's a counterpoint. This Lokesh Sharma is a North Indian guy, and then it just acts as a counterpoint. It's some sort of a shock element for those who know the cultural milieu. For those who don't know the cultural milieu, it's just music.
It's not Kathakali music, but
No.
it's supposed to be music.
No, this is Yakshagana. This is an amateur Yakshagana group in Bombay. So I recorded the music.
Generally, they are bluffing each other.
That's right. That's what you say you are and whom you are. These are 2 different things. You know? It's only what you say you are becomes who you are, and it is power. That's the premises on which I was working on.
I have maybe a couple of questions. One is that so in the film, of course, you kind of used dialogue heavily as a major vehicle. But in contrast to that, I mean, to me, using dialogue the way you did is quite normal and safe, right? But when I was watching the film, it even begins with a very unconventional frame, and it continues throughout the film till you suddenly reach the end, where the narrative breaks, suspension of disbelief is gone, and because of that, I kept getting intrigued throughout the film. So, how much of that was done as a preconceived idea versus it kind of coming in on the edit table?
You're talking about those unconventional frames or the pattern?
The balance of the two is what I'm saying. I mean, maybe cinematographically you kind of structured the film to be unconventionally framed, and then place the script on that, or did you go the other way around by?
Yeah, no, one of the challenges of working with 2 characters movies and confining myself to the limited space is how do I make it interesting, and therefore the unconventional cutting patterns and conventional frames and all those things. That's one of the preconceived. Having said that, I found out in the editing table that it could be more interesting if I had more of these shots, of planned shots. So I took time, 1 day, 2 days time, and shot separately, and then I incorporated into the editing at a later stage. So in a sense, it was both ways.
Okay.
Yeah. Have I answered you?
Yeah. Also, I want to know whether the sound of the lift was that. I mean, I know it's a very dangerous question to ask in a way, but I don't mean in disrespect, but just for information's sake, I would like to know whether it was conceived in the script itself that you hear the lift outside the door at different points in the film, or was it while shooting that it happened once and then you chose to use it as a repetition?
The film takes a shape. It's a process. It's not. In this case, it was not conceived in the script that a lift sound is there, and it was also. It also didn't get recorded in the shooting. So this was a post decision. So I said, this is a lift sound that is coming. Why don't I use it? So then I started using it. So whenever I come to the hall, the lift sound comes.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's why it was really nice to hear it in a way, because that kind of sets it in Bombay for me. Because almost every house that I've ever been in Bombay, I can always hear the elevator. Always. So I think that really kind of creates a connect, maybe only for people who've been in Bombay, maybe, or even here, doesn't matter.
Maybe any city which has an apartment.
Yeah. That I think was a really nice element of the soundtrack.
In fact, there are certain, the lift sound comes only in the hall. It doesn't come inside the bedroom. And these are the kinds of, some of the sound comes in the bedroom. Some of the sounds come while we are in the lavatory. So these kinds of patterns, sound patterns. So that's what I told you. Sound was one of the tools which I tried to create the city, without even defining what a city is. It could have been some other city, not Bombay.
Right.
They had been told Bombay, the word Bombay could have been some other city.
Right.
Would the characters have a professional one?
Yeah, they are professional. One is an actor. Both of them are from the National School of Drama. One of them is a writer who also wrote the Hindi translations for me. I wrote it in English, but I also did the Neeraj, did the English translation. Second is also an actor, and he is also a professional trainer, acting coach trainer. So it helped in that sense. Hemant Mahur.
Do you consciously create the monotony at a larger structure when we see the structure of the film? There's a constant monotony to it. Yakshiganadu, Madhidali Idbaroda. So that's fine, I think. So is that monotony trying to reflect the monotonous nature of writing a film script that this man is doing? Also, one of the characters is a scriptwriter. He's working on a film script. So are you trying to capture that monotonous tone also in the structure somewhere? Is it reflecting like that, or because for me it was too much of dialogues. That is, I'm not used to so much of dialogues when I see a film like this. But on the other side, the dialogue was trying to create a monotony also, their voice and the way they react to each other and the music in between that comes. So
It was a concentration to have a leisurely pace to the film. Now, how do I? It's not a fast. That was originally.
no, that's fine. I'm not talking.
So what else are you talking about?
I'm just talking about the dialogues and the structure, the way it is structured. It's kind of creating a very monotonous thing. I'm not telling it's repetition, but it is giving me a monotonous feeling. Nothing is repetition there. Sometimes the short, I don't want to get down to the short breakdown level, but generally it's a very monotonous thing. So, is that trying to tell that it's the state of mind of this man who's trying to write the script, or is he caught somewhere?
Consciously, I haven't thought of that.
Thought of that.
Some big things like that.
It felt like that to me.
It's well in mind. It's not consciously done, but yeah, as I said, my shots, there was a leisurely pace of the film, which to the extent of being monotonous.
It's
The
monotonous, not in a critical tone.
the conception of the shots itself is such. I just hold back and see two people talking. I mean, I don't cut. Sometimes I cut, but most of the time I just hold it. That itself creates a sort of monotonous feeling there.
But are there any other elements that you had thought of to create that monotonous feeling? Apart from this shots or like holding back a shot for a lengthy period of time, is there other ways that you came across in your thought process, which you probably didn't use it in your film in terms of...
Repetition nature of the sounds that have been used.
That is part of the ambience of that comes in naturally when you write a script like this. But
And for example, the telephone, that it's the same telephone, same sound, which comes again and
More
again.
than that, I think the whole thing is on the comedy. Everybody is lying, and you know, almost in the first shot, there is such a thing, you just can't come in and say, what do you want? So you know that everybody is lying, I mean, each one is lying. I think that is the more repetitive thing. I mean, the other things about Milton are according to...
you may not notice that so much.
The more interesting thing is that each one is playing a game, and particularly when you show Hitchcock, you know that there's some sort of give and take, and then it's not what you see is what you believe or to be true. I think that is the whole narrative. I think whether consciously or otherwise, I think that's the whole thing. All that I wanted to know was how autobiographical was it? In the sense, you in the end, in the when you're giving the credits, suddenly you put that name of one and whoever else. In the first thing, I didn't recognize it. I don't know whether it was there. In the first set of credits, it was not there. So again, it's a sort of playing games, I think, within yourself, and then projecting it for the audience, saying that, look, it's a big game. Even the way you posture, the camera, and the ambience. And these two people, I don't remember the name. There was a two-character film, British film. One of them, I think, was Michael Caine. They also played chess, actually. The one film that I don't know whether you have seen, but I recall them. Only two characters, and it's a full-length feature film. They're actually playing chess, and it's not actually chess.
It's a larger
So that was the thing which came to mind. More than the simple things like creating animals, and frankly, the Yakshagana didn't work for me at all. I mean, actually that. Otherwise, it's just almost very, keep on repeating this postmodern thing, fitting it, and then you're showing almost a very realistic kind of thing. But another thing is a lot of lights going in shots, and the way it is presented is very realistic. So then everything underneath is a light. Each one is trying to make a fool of other person. Sometimes making fool of themselves in order to con the other person. So it was beautifully done, but the Yakshagana thing, and then things which are sort of brought in, was sort of unnecessary. And then, as he rightly said, the monotony being the hero of the film, and that was broken unnecessarily by this Yakshagana.
By the
Yakshagana. Because monotony was the sort of hero of this, to bring the London actor. That's what people to have carried the same voice level. That was, I thought, how long did it take to shoot this?
17 years.
17 years. To carry the same voice quality as if it is happening in the next 2, 3 hours, 4 hours, whatever. That was amazing. I think because of the trained actors.
It helped me, I shot the film sequentially from 1 to 3.
Oh.
It helped me like that.
Okay.
They wanted it to be shot like that.
So how far does it autobiography?
Let's come into that. There's a lot of personal element here because there's a lot of
film only.
I have seen characters, there are certain dialogues that I had with people directly fitted into the film, and all these things are there. It's not an autobiographical film as such, but there are a lot of elements there, elements that they are often friends, and of my seniors, who made films. And
You are not true, is it? I mean, some of them.
some of them I've taken from here, and I've stolen from here, I've stolen from that
The
person.
names and all, for example.
No,
5
names,
years and then.
names and all are fiction. All that is fiction. But I've stolen situations, I've stolen real
He'll be
situations.
in trouble in the He can't come and show the film, yes.
I've stolen dialogues, I've telephonic conversations I've stolen and kept it. That was the thing.
In the end, Lips tells that he has come for some, for the money, to take some money from him. And what will he, why does Lokesh, what does Lokesh get?
Because he knows that. See, both of them are playing games. Even you know.
No, but,
he has not come for Priya Gia and all that.
I know.
Ultimately, you know that he has come to put a time pass and also to take something.
Free lodging.
And he is also aware that
And
he is
Lokesh
so
wanted to kill time,
Yeah.
and he wanted someone, so
and
he
also
just.
this.
On the other hand, he would also want to see Priya because he's gone, according to him, he's gone there to Matharan and do Sedeka. So that might also be there. So I've left it open kind of. He's also a con man, totally no. But he might also be real, he might also be real. And that's his redemption. That's the confessions that the two characters made was thought of a redemption kind of thing.
So when Lokesh tells Anu at some point that he's working on that Ramnik, that script and Ramnik, and then finally he tells that there is somebody else's script. Is he also lying to Anu? Is that the thing? Or?
I don't, maybe he might be lying, maybe he might have told the truth, and maybe he's improvising some other script.
Particularly, he just mentioned that
Yeah,
twice
yeah,
or thrice
working.
to Anu.
Yeah.
He said, like, I'm working on that script, the Ramnik thing is not completed.
It's left.
So we believe that it is his initially.
Initially, yeah.
And then finally he says that is Kunal.
Yeah.
So then you're left with this thing like, why does he worry about that?
Logistically, a lot of things might, there's a lot of possibilities. He must have heard it from that person, the script, and he might have found whatever, one such reason would be he might have wanted to rework on that track. And maybe he's one such, it could be anything. But at a script level, it was important to convince the audience at that point of time that it was his script.
But how do you start writing a script like this? Like when you say you have some real life experiences in terms of conversations with different people which you incorporate. So where does the starting point come? Like you start making notes of your different conversations, whatever you think is interesting to you when you experience it.
The starting point for writing the script came when, see, this Karan Wali actually gave me the script of Maternity to read. So I thought, I asked him whether he want to make this film. It was 10 years since he wrote it. He said, I'm not going to use it. So I said, okay, fine, I'm going to use this. So whatever your story is, I'm going to use it. He said, fine, use it. That was the starting point. Now, that was a story. It could have been anything else. It could have been Ramayana also. I don't know. But this was there, and then two characters speaking to each other, narrating a story. And then everything, in a span of 7 days, everything fit into the whole thing. It was like, I was always improvising. As an actor would do, I was improvising on it. And it very quickly right out at that point of time.
So the form of it also came there.
Yeah, it automatically came in, and then the dialogue also, oh God, that was that conversation that happened about the jury members, that phone call on that particular day. Okay, put it there. That kind of thing.
It is like, it is there and it is not there, the whole movie.
Yeah, what seems so might not be so.
The way he
As you
narrates,
Wait,
As you like it.
as he tells the story, it is like, we'll be like thinking, yes, it is, what he is telling is truth. And at the same time, when we get to know, it is like very imaginatory structure which we have created, and it is like uncreated as well.
Yeah, again, I would come, the basic premises I thought initially, because what you say who you are might not be who you are. So when you realize that.
The interesting part was before the end, these two people who are talking, immediately we see their clothes are all changed, and they talk about the entire thing. That's a very interesting small thing you have put in. What is the technique called?
it's, as we discussed, it's like the whole film is happening as if it is real.
Yeah.
And suddenly we realize, ki, oh God, this is not real.
But these two people are talking about your entire, the way the film is made and everything.
Yeah, it has so happens that these two characters, we realize that these two characters, it's a story that these two characters are, one character is narrating to another. You know? So we realize which is real. Are the guy in the white shirt real,
Yeah.
or the closest real, or the other real? After some sort of confusion, we come back to the story.
Yeah.
As I said, what is real, what it did not seem so. No? That is the structure. I have incorporated into the structure of the film. Who says what I am saying now is real? You don't know.
The characters themselves are talking about the entire story.
Quite possible. Quite possible.
So that is your script and maternity leave is the other person's.
Now, when it comes to like a spiritual point, it will be like Nethi kind. Is it this? No. It is that. Is it that? No. And somewhere is there any link to that?
Yeah, I haven't gone deep into that kind of philosophy, but suffice to say that what you think you're saying might not be true, or what you're seeing might not be true.
And the title of the movie is Band.
And yesterday we had a